The emergency klaxons shattered the artificial night cycle aboard the Nexus Harmony, a diplomatic station orbiting the neutral zone between three galactic territories. Vash's secondary eyes snapped open before his primary ones. An instinctive response drilled into every Crithian cub leader through generations of vigilance. His clawed hand slammed the silence button, and he rose from his sleeping alcove in one fluid motion. The holographic display painted crimson warnings across his chitinous face. Containment breach. Sector 7 Delta. All personnel report status. Vash's mandibles clicked in irritation. Another drill, probably. The station commander loved these unannounced exercises. Still, protocol was protocol. He activated his wrist comm and began the nightly roll call for his charges. The 23 Crithian cubs under his care, the children of diplomats and trade officials stationed here for the summit. Cub roster, sound off by pod assignment, Vash announced, his translator rendering his clicking speech into standard galactic common. He pulled up the holographic manifest, each name glowing softly in the darkness. Silenced, Vash's antennae twitched. Cubs, respond immediately. This is not optional. More silence. His secondary hearts began to accelerate. He moved to the first sleeping pod and activated the emergency lights. Empty. The second pod, empty. Third, fourth, fifth, all empty. 23 pods, and not a single cub present. Fear, cold and primal, flooded his system. In his 12 cycles as a cub leader, nothing like this had ever happened. Cubs didn't just vanish. They couldn't just vanish. The station's security protocols were absolute. Biometric tracking on every juvenile. Force fields on every. His comm crackled. Cub leader Vash, this is Security Central. We're showing an anomaly with your sector. All biosigns for your charges are registering in pod room 7J. Please confirm. Negative. Vash hissed, already moving toward the door. All pods in my sector are empty. I'm investigating 7J now. Pod room 7J was clear across the residential wing, in the human section of the station. Vash's claws scraped against the deck plating as he ran, his mind racing through possibilities. Abduction? Impossible. Security would have detected it. Mass sleepwalking? Crithian cubs didn't sleepwalk. Some kind of prank? He rounded the corner to find two human security officers already stationed outside 7J, looking bewildered. Beyond them, through the transparent aluminum viewport, Vash could see something that made his cognitive processes stutter. All 23 of his cubs were inside, along with what appeared to be dozens of other juveniles from various species, Zentarii hatchlings, Malvari pups, even 3 of the crystalline shardborn younglings. They were arranged in a massive pile in the center of the room, sleeping peacefully on a mountain of blankets, pillows, and what looked like human clothing. Standing beside this impossible gathering, arms crossed, and looking remarkably unconcerned, was a human. The station manifest flickered through Vash's neural implant. Kalen, human male, civilian contractor, xenobiology specialist. Vash burst through the door. What is the meaning of this? How did you? Kalen held up a hand, his expression somewhere between amused and exhausted. Before you start clicking angry questions at me, let me explain. About 3 hours ago, I heard crying. Went to investigate and found one of your cubs, Tiksha, I think, wandering the corridor. Poor thing was terrified. Tiksha suffers from night terrors, Vash said stiffly. I have medication protocols. Yeah. Well, she wasn't in her pod to receive them, Kalen interrupted gently. She'd somehow bypassed her room's lock. Kids are surprisingly good at that, turns out, and was looking for comfort. So I brought her here, to my quarters, gave her some warm milk, and talked to her until she calmed down. Vash's mandibles worked silently. The security breach alone was worth 3 formal investigations. But here's the thing, Kalen continued, gesturing to the massive pile of sleeping children. Within 20 minutes, another cub showed up. Then a Malvari pup. Then 2 more cubs. They were all scared, all responding to the station alerts in their own ways, all somehow finding their way to this room. That's impossible, Vash stated. The biometric locks are designed by adults who forgot what it's like to be a scared kid, Kalen said with a slight smile. Children are remarkably resourceful when they're frightened. They'll climb through ventilation ducts, piggyback on adult authorization codes, slip through doors during shift changes. I've seen human kids do it. Apparently, Fear is a universal motivator. Vash looked at the sleeping pile again. His cubs, his responsibility, were nestled among aliens who, in normal circumstances, they'd barely interact with. Different species, different biologies, different sleep cycles. Yet here they were, tangled together in what humans apparently called a cuddle puddle. You should have alerted security immediately, Vash said, but his voice had lost its sharp edge. Probably, Kalen admitted. But they kept coming, and they were scared, and I. He paused, running a hand through his hair. Look, I know it's not standard procedure. But on Earth, when kids are scared, you don't process them through security protocols. You comfort them. You make them feel safe. So that's what I did. By creating an unauthorized gathering of juveniles from 7 different species, each with different environmental needs. I adjusted the room's atmosphere to a compromised spectrum. Everyone's getting enough oxygen. The temperature's not ideal for anyone, but not harmful to anyone. And I replicated some comfort items from each species' cultural database. Kalen pointed to various sections of the pile. Crithian heat rocks over there, Malvari scent markers here, Zentarii humidity pods there. Vash was silent for a long moment. His training screamed protocols, regulations, proper channels. But his instincts, the deep, ancient instincts that made Crithians such devoted caretakers, recognized something else. Not a single cub in that pile looked distressed. They looked peaceful, safe. The station commander will file formal complaints, Vash finally said. Probably, Kalen agreed. There will be an investigation into the security breaches. Almost certainly. Multiple protocols have been violated. Yep. Vash's antennae drooped slightly. And yet, they're all safe. Every single one. That was the idea. A small voice chirped from the pile. Tiksha, his most anxious cub, lifted her small head. Cub leader Vash? Is morning time? No, little one, Vash said softly, his translator adding harmonic undertones of comfort. Sleep more. You're safe. Human Kalen told stories, Tiksha murmured, already drifting back to sleep. About earth monsters that aren't real scary, just pretend scary. Good stories. As Tiksha settled back into the pile, a Zentarii hatchling adjusted its position, which caused a Malvari pup to stretch, which made 2 more cubs shift for comfort. The entire mass of sleeping children rippled like a living thing, each movement triggering tiny adjustments until they'd all found new positions of perfect comfort. Humans have a saying, Kalen said quietly. It takes a village to raise a child. Tonight, I guess this station became a village. Vash watched the sleeping children for another moment, then made a decision that would probably complicate his career significantly. He deactivated his comm's emergency frequency and switched to standard mode. Security Central, this is Cub Leader Vash. Disregard previous alert. All cubs accounted for and safe. We had a planned interspecies socialization exercise that I forgot to log properly. My error. Vash out. He looked at Kalen, who raised an eyebrow. You're going to cover for this? The human asked. I'm going to document this as an important cultural exchange that revealed critical gaps in our juvenile care protocols, Vash corrected. Which, technically, it did. Though I expect you'll be answering questions tomorrow. Worth it, Kalen said simply as Vash left to file his creative report. He glanced back one last time at the impossible pile of sleeping children. In a galaxy divided by species, politics, and ancient territorial disputes, 23 different children from 7 different worlds had instinctively sought the same thing: safety, warmth, and someone who cared that they'd found it in a human who, against all protocols and regulations, had simply done what his species apparently did best, opened his door to those in need, and made room for 1 more dot, or in this case, 47 more. The station commander would have words about this tomorrow. Many words. But tonight, for the first time in 3 cycles, Tiksha would sleep without night terrors. Vash decided that was worth whatever diplomatic incident might follow.